All right, hey, what's up, guys? Coach Mac, Play Fast Football. All right, today we're going to be doing a video for you on, got to kind of answer a question for a guy on Twitter, Dustin Mills on Twitter, got his first head coaching job. Congratulations, first off, Dustin. Second off, he asked a question and said if I could go through 425 installation coverages. Bottom line is the question he asked was probably more of a webinar or a clinic question, so I'm going to do a video today on our 3-3 stack and how we develop it from JV to varsity, and hope I can answer as many questions for a new first-time head football coach as I can. All right, make sure you check out some of our sponsors. GameStrat sideline replay system we use. If you're looking for a highly reliable, highly affordable sideline replay system, great customer service, check out GameStrat, description box down below. It has a link that'll take you directly to GameStrat's website. Defense Coordinator 1, in-game app letting coaches make critical adjustments based on actual live in-game data. It's made by coaches for coaches. Make sure you check out Defensive Coordinator 1. Just Play Football, the only play drawing diagram tool I'll use if you're looking to take your program to the next level with digital software. Make sure you check out Just Play Football. Difference USA, the ultimate striking machine. We have one in our weight room. Work on elbows in, thumbs up, getting off the ball, striking, being violent. You don't need a partner. You don't need anybody holding a bag or a med ball or anything else. It's just you and Difference USA Ultimate Striking Machine. Dome Hats, which is a headwear sponsor for Play Fast Football. This is one of my high school dome hats here. All right, gray with our logo on the front. All right, swords up on the back. You can change the button on the top, the eyelet color on the top, depending on if there's eyelets, depending on the hat design. Custom hats, beanies, visors, online hat builder. Build it however you want. Unbelievable company, great customer service. You're great guys that were former football players at the University of Florida, coach a little bit themselves, so they know what we go through. So make sure if you need hats, you check out Dome Hats. All right. So here's kind of what we do. First thing you got to understand, when you get kids on JV from the 8th grade kids coming into you as 9th graders, first thing you got to understand is you better be able to teach. All right. You better be able to teach how to get in a stance, how to get off the ball, who to read, block reaction, block destruction. Those are the first things you're going to have to teach a kid when they get to you. So you're going to have to spend a lot of time working on skills and fundamentals like stances, starts, getting off the ball. You have no idea where these came from. If you're in a high school where you have a feeder program and you know the coaches at the feeder program and they do a really good job with skill development, then you may be able to skip forward on some of these things. But ultimately, as a head coach in high school or a JV head coach or however your program is run, when kids get to you, you can't assume that they know all the things that you want them to do, so you might as well start from where you want, from ground zero, and teach them everything you want. So you're going to have to spend time on stances and starts and get-offs and reads and block recognition, block reaction, block destruction, all right, before you even get into what your base defense is. So you're going to have to start with the development of skills with young kids. You can't get to games and say, well, they don't know this and they don't know that and they never taught anything. When they get to you, the fact that they might be raw, green, or never played before, or they didn't get taught anything in junior high or Pop Warner, that's no longer a reason for you to bitch anymore. You now have to teach them. So once they played a couple JV games for you, if they don't know anymore, it's your fault, not the fault of anybody before you. All right. But then what we try to do is we moved. I know Coach Mills wanted me to talk on 4-2-5 stuff. We're a 3-3 stack team now. For the last 2 years, because of the school I'm at, it fits the kids I have, fits the coaching staff I have. We play the same split field coverages behind it, but we're a 3-3 stack team. So here's what we try to do. We try to get our base 3-3 stack, all right, set up in that front. We don't worry about a lot of movement early on. We try to play our base defense with our base coverages behind it, so we've got to be able to teach our kids, all right, how to play quarters defense. Okay, we got to teach them how to play 2-read or palms defense. And then we have to teach them 1 3-by-1 adjustment. And then to the single side, okay, we teach them, all right, what we call a sky adjustment, or we teach them what we call a hawk adjustment, which is basically the backside safety. It's basically a man adjustment with the backside safety being an extra player in a run game. We don't teach them any more single side coverages than that. We don't teach them any more at the beginning. We don't teach them any more 3-by-1 adjustments to that. We don't teach them any other open 2 receiver. We play 2-read, tight end flanker. We play quarters. To the single side, that's what we play. We basically get our base quarters toolbox in, and that's what we try to learn in our base defense. And then we try to make sure that the 6 in the box and then the down safeties primarily the 6 in the box first. We try to teach them how we want to fit runs in our 3-3 stack, and we try to make sure that they understand how those 6 are going to fit runs, because run fits is something that doesn't get taught a lot at lower levels. They don't have a lot of time. They don't have enough coaches. Depending on the level that they're at, the coaches may not know enough about run fits. So you got to teach them about run fits and how you want to fit runs and how they change based on the block reaction that you're getting, or the blocks that you're getting from the other team that you are reacting to or recognizing with your block recognition. So we've got to work a ton on, first of all, getting lined up right, getting coverage calls correct, and then the 6 guys in the box fitting runs, all right, correctly. All right, on top of that, obviously, how we're going to play coverages, how we got to force runs, who the force players are, who the extra players are, who's running the alley. Those are things that we have to get to down the road, but originally with a JV program, get your 3-3 box, get the run fits taught right, all right? Get your free safety, start developing the guys that you want to play certain positions. So right away, we want to find out who one of our smartest football players is, and we want to put them at free safety because they have to identify formations, set the strength of the secondary, and then call coverages to that side, all right? After we find our free safety, we then want to find our 2 down safeties, because the down safeties are guys for us in our defense that have to be physical enough to play the run, all right, athletic enough to play man-to-man on a slot or possibly on a hash mark, all right, in a 2-read position. And then they also have to be smart enough to understand, if they're away from the free safety, what coverage calls they might have to make. All right, so the free safety is the smartest on the defense for us. And then we progress down to our next 2 best football players, all right? Again, based on size and body type, all right? They're going to be safeties, and we're looking for the 3 safety positions first. Then we look to find our corners, all right? Then we look to find and figure out, all right, who's a good athlete but maybe not as physical or doesn't think very well, because our corners don't have to call coverages. They just have to react to what the safety says. And we feel like our corners have way less to do in a run game, so we can focus more, and our corners coach can focus more on pass coverages and responsibilities. So we're looking safeties first on the back end, then corners second. All right, that's just the way we do it. As far as the box is concerned, all right, when they get here in JV, you're looking to find 3 down and 3 backers. What are we looking for? Kids that are going to be physical, kids that are going to be tough, kids that are going to run to the football, all right, kids that are going to be coachable, kids that are going to be smart. Okay, so early on in JV, we have to teach a lot of techniques, a lot of fundamentals, a lot of skills. We're teaching our base defense before we ever get into any movements. Once we get into movements, we probably get one five-man pressure, 1 or 2 6-man pressures, and that's about it at the JV level, all right, for us, depending on the group we have and how we feel about them. But the bottom line is we're trying to identify players. We're trying to figure out who the defensive ends are going to be, who the nose is going to be, who the backers are going to be, who the safeties are going to be. Number 1 for us is the free safety, because he's our smartest player, has to be able to call coverages and identify formation. All right, then we try to figure out who our athletes are, that if they aren't as physical, we can get them out there and play some man-to-man and do the things we need at corner. Okay, those are all the things you're working through at the JV level. And then as you progress through the season and then down the road to varsity, what ends up happening for us a lot of the times is what we do is I'm a firm believer that we need to build our program from the 9th grade up with our JV team. And those JV kids need to be functioning members of our program in 2 to 3 years. All right, we can't count on move-ins, we can't count on transfers, we can't sign anybody. It's on us as coaches to develop those players. So I want to develop those 9th grade kids. But what I end up doing most of the time is we start progressively moving guys down and forward as they get older and stronger in the weight room. So after you develop the core of who you think's going to play and you get through your JV season, now in the off season you got to start seeing how they lift. All right, they're lifting for you in season, but it's not off season lifting yet. You want to see how dedicated they are, who's going to lift, who's going to grow, who's going to get bigger. And then for us, normally what ends up happening, we would love to not move the free safety if possible. All right, because our free safety is the smartest guy. He calls the coverages. He sets it by formation. We would love to not move him if possible. But in the past, what we've done is our free safeties, as they get older, they get bigger, and they move down to down safety. Okay? We take a corner that might be one of our better athletes at corner, and if he gets, a better understanding of what we're doing on defense, we then, maybe cycle him through the free safety if our backup free safety wasn't good enough. If we had 2 free safeties and we move one down, Like this year, what happened to us was we had 2 free safeties ready to go. We lost a down safety. Older free safety went down. The younger free safety went to free safety. So now, going into next year, we have that free safety coming back, but we don't have these 2 positions. So because of his experience and strength and toughness, he might have to go down there and then roll somebody down back into free safety, which you would like to not do if possible, because the free safety's got to be the smartest guy there. So I don't like moving them, but in the past we've had to do that. All right. Usually what happens is our down safeties, as they get bigger and stronger, a lot of times become backers. All right. So our younger down safeties that have good frames, that lift and work hard, they get bigger and stronger and they become linebackers. All right. Our linebackers that are freshmen or even sophomores sometimes, they get a little bit bigger and stronger and they become defensive ends. All right. And then our defensive ends sometimes get big enough to where they just slide in and play the nose. And then our corners, if we have a couple that we like, all right, we take the more physical ones and then we rotate them down to become down safeties if the down safeties move on to linebacker. So it's kind of a philosophy that I got from Gary Patterson and how they develop players at TCU. Back in the day where they couldn't get the top recruits from Texas or Texas A&M or even Texas Tech, TCU was kind of down the chart a little bit, and how he developed his defense. And what he did was he went out and he recruited some of the 2- and 3-star players that other people wouldn't take because of size, and then they developed them. So they took some running backs that couldn't be Division I running backs and they made them linebackers. And then they took some linebackers that couldn't be Division I linebackers and they put 20 pounds on them and made them DNs. They took some DNs that maybe weren't explosive enough to play DN, they put 20 pounds on them and they moved them into 1 and 3 technique. All right, and they took receivers maybe that weren't D1 receivers and they tried to make them corners, and then they took some corners that maybe were a little bit bigger and they put size on them to make them safeties. So the reason that they did that all the time was they couldn't just go out and pluck 5-star corners and safeties and backers like the elite programs were, especially in Texas with going back 15, 20 years ago, or, however long Gary Patterson been there, it's been a long time. They weren't going to get those kids from Texas. They weren't going to get them from Texas A&M. They weren't going to get them from Oklahoma. All right? They weren't beating those programs out for those types of kids at that time. So they had to go get 2- and 3-star players that they had to develop. So what they did is they went from a philosophy of recruiting the best players they could and kind of building them up and moving them closer to the ball. And that's what we do. We find guys to play first. We find who's going to be physical, who's going to be tough, who's going to be coachable. And then as they get bigger and stronger and we lift them, we move them forward. So free safeties possibly go down. Down safeties go to stack backers. Stack backers go to ends. Ends go to noses. Corners that develop might go down to safety. It's just the constant evolution of what you're trying to do with your program. Now, if you have the type of program where, you can go out and your program, you're going to be able to pick your ends and your nose or your tackle or your backers or your safeties, and you have enough bodies, all right, well, now you're just developing your defense and figuring out what role is best for a kid. You're not really developing kids to play in your defense. For us, not only do we have to develop our 3-3-5 defense, but we've also got to develop kids to play in that defense based on being a 5A school, all right, a school that hasn't had a ton of success in the last 8 years. We haven't been in the playoffs since 2010 at this school. We're coming off of 5-5 and 6-4, so we're getting a little bit better, but still, we're at a place where we're only carrying 40 to 45 varsity players. We don't have a ton of backups. I can't just pick and choose, hey, here's my best 4 DNs and here's my best 4 noses. And that one of the reasons we went to the 3-3 is because we have way more backers and safeties than we do down linemen, so we play a 3-3 defense and we move more of them to backer. So we kind of progress our kids from the JV, moving up to varsity, kind of forward. Safeties go down, backers go down, ends go in, and that's kind of the way we like to build our defense. All right, so hopefully that helps, Dustin Mills. I know it wasn't the answer to your question about 4-2-5 install and coverage install, but as a head coach, these are the things you now have to start thinking about in your program, all right, because the worst thing, in my opinion, as a head coach you can do is let your JV just go and be whatever, and they don't even run the same things your varsity does, or your varsity coaches have nothing to do with your JV kids, because then those JV kids are going to get up to you, and you're going to complain that they've never been taught, they don't know anything, you can't deal with them, and then the program never evolves. So in my opinion, you teach it as a full program from the 9th grade up. Your JV gets taught just like your varsity. They play a watered-down version of what you play, all right, on your varsity level, and you don't worry about so much the wins and losses to put them in an offense that is suitable maybe to them to win more games when you have to teach them how to be in an offense when they get to varsity. So I'm a program guy. I want to build a program I'm a system guy on offense and defense. We have our own style of systems that we run. I want those systems run on JV. I don't just tell guys that they can do whatever they want, whenever they want, and put them on a separate field. I don't believe in that. I believe that the JV's got to be built from the ground up. Those players are going to be ours. They need to be our backbone. They're the lifeline, all right, the lifeblood of the program. We need them to develop in the system how we want to develop, and then we have to develop them forward, all right, as they get bigger and stronger, and make them into the bodies maybe that we don't have. So the bodies that we don't have now, we've got to build our young kids into those bodies down the road. All right, so Dustin, good luck to you with your first head coaching job. Hope everything works out for you. Plenty of other guys on Twitter and social media to look at, ask questions. They'd probably be happy to answer. Make sure you get yourself some dome hats, because that's the first thing you should do as a head coach. All right, I appreciate everything you guys do for me. Remember to click that subscribe button, click the likes, notifications, turn them on so you know when we do videos. Catch me on Twitter at CoachMac8740, Instagram CoachMac8740. All right, you already know what we do on YouTube. Remember, you won't play well till you play fast. See you next time.